First up, of course, we have Mariah Carey. Even if you're not familiar with many of JLo's feuds, I'm sure you know that Mariah Carey hates her. That's because Mariah has not been shy about throwing shade in her direction. These two have been feuding ever since JLo started to make music, and started to steal her shine. Then when Mariah was asked about Lopez in an interview, she famously replied, quote, "I don't know her." Years later, when Andy Cohen brought up the beef on his show Watch What Happens Live in 2014, Jennifer Lopez played the whole thing off, saying, quote, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other. I would love to meet her, and I would love to be friends with her." But then JLo was a little more savage on the Wendy Williams show when asked about the feud in 2016. Lopez said, quote, "She's forgetful, I guess. We've met so many times." But Carey doubled down in another interview where she added that she still doesn't know Jennifer Lopez. When Mariah had a mishap of her own during a disastrous New Year's Eve performance, Lopez took a break from the high road and liked an extremely shady tweet about Mariah. The tweet said, quote, "Ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight." If you're wondering where this feud started, it all goes back to Mariah's ex-husband and music executive, Tommy Mottola. After getting married in 1993, Carey divorced Mottola in 1998 because he was very controlling. And to get back at her, Mottola started up JLo's career and did everything possible to make JLo a star, instead of Mariah. JLo sampled a number of Mariah-esque songs. There were even allegations she straight up copied some of Mariah's songs, but tried to make them more of a hit. All because of Mottola. But Mariah knows she still came out on top, adding, quote, "After all that shit, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States." So basically the whole feud is over career competition and the fact that Lopez was in cahoots with Carey's controlling ex. Rosie Perez. You'd think that JLo and Rosie Perez would be great friends, considering how much they have in common. Both women are dancers, are Puerto Rican, and grew up in New York. But the pair are not close, and it would be more accurate to say that they actually hate each other. According to Perez's 2014 memoir, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life, she has plenty of negative stories to share about JLo. In her memoir, Perez shared a story from the set of In Living Color. She wrote about Lopez, quote, "All of the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage," and added she was acting like, quote, "some ghetto bitch," screaming and pounding her chest. JLo ended up leaving that show after 2 seasons, but the feud between the pair continued, and Perez claimed that Lopez would speak negatively about her whenever she got the chance. Even worse, Lopez was allegedly two-faced. She would talk trash behind Perez's back, but be nice to her face. Brandy. In the midst of the Mariah and JLo feud, Brandy publicly supported Mariah, making it clear she does not like JLo. In July of 2017, Brandy took to Instagram to share a photo of herself hugging Mariah Carey with the caption, #SheKnows Me, an obvious reference to Mariah's infamous "I don't know her" comment about JLo. All the comments were flooded with people speculating over the caption, and the consensus quickly became that the photo was a dig at JLo. However, Brandy later addressed the caption, writing, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I didn't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable, you know that I am." Later adding that Mariah does in fact know her. Mariah supported the post by commenting, quote, "I sure do." Even though Brandy is trying to convince us it's nothing shady, I honestly don't believe it. Next up, Nicki Minaj. It's long been rumored that Jennifer Lopez is a huge diva, and the fight that her and Nicki Minaj had while on American Idol brought up both of their diva sides. In 2012, Lopez was a judge on American Idol while Nicki came on to perform, and things got tense fast. After Nicki finished performing, she went over to the judges table and asked, quote, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. JLo, can you scoot over a little bit?" JLo then responded, quote, "I don't know if there's enough room for both of us." Then Minaj took it up another notch backstage when she said, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." But she later added, quote, "We were just joking around." But it's clear the bad blood is still there. When Lopez performed at the 2015 AMAs, she sang a part of Minaj's song Anaconda. But I don't think Nicki got the memo that it was going to be happening, because when the camera panned to Nicki, she did not look happy. Fans totally saw the shade and started tweeting about it that night. Rihanna. Rihanna and JLo started feuding right around the time that JLo was seen getting cozy with Rihanna's ex, Drake. This all happened in 2016 when J-Lo and Drake took a photo backstage at J-Lo's concert. Once the photos came out, everyone assumed that they were dating, which probably got the attention of his exes. A lot of fans felt the whole thing was most likely a publicity stunt, but Rihanna took the rumors pretty seriously and lashed out online because of it. A source said at the time that Rihanna suffered, quote, the ultimate betrayal and dubbed Lopez desperate and a traitor. This was because Rihanna and J-Lo were really tight at one point, and Rihanna even got support from J-Lo during rough times with Drake. Then in December of 2016, Rihanna unfollowed J-Lo on Instagram, making her stance very clear. Jenna Dewan. When the pair started alongside each other on World of Dance, they seemed like they got along great. Lopez was a producer and a judge, while Dewan was a host and mentor on the show. But sources revealed that when the camera stopped rolling, the women hated each other. One source said about their relationship, quote, Jenna can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery. Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling, and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background. The insider continued that J-Lo is a micromanager who tells everyone else what to do. Because of all her input, Jenna felt excluded and felt like her voice was not heard. Although there is a chance that this feud is not accurate because when Dewan's team was asked about the feud rumors, they denied them. Ojani Noah. Jennifer Lopez has been married 3 times before. Her first and shortest marriage was to Cuban waiter Ojani Noah. Although their relationship ended in 1998, it's clear that Noah cannot stand her, and whenever asked about Lopez, he does not hold back his negative feelings. Back in 2006, he was actually set to release a juicy tell-all book about Lopez called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. But before it was set to be published, Lopez was able to stop it with a lawsuit. She argued that publishing the book broke their confidentiality agreement, and the courts agreed. From that lawsuit, she won $545,000 in damages, and Noah was forbid from criticizing or casting in a negative light or otherwise disparaging Lopez. Noah's name was brought up once again when he threatened to leak an intimate tape of the two of them on their honeymoon. Lopez then filed a $10 million lawsuit against him. When asked why the relationship ended, Noah blamed Lopez, saying, quote, I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me. And finally, Jennifer Lopez herself. Nobody has done more to warn us about J-Lo's sketchy behavior than herself, and some of the things she's done in the past are too terrible to ignore. Back when she tried to score a role in competition with actress Claire Danes, J-Lo said some harsh things about her competition, saying that Claire Danes does the quote, same thing with every character she does. Then Lopez bashed Winona Ryder, saying that she was not a big fan of her work. And finally, Lopez took aim at Gwyneth Paltrow, saying, quote, tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work. Then in a different interview, Lopez decided to take aim at Madonna, specifically bashing Madonna's attempt at acting. Quote, do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Aside from dishing out unnecessary shade to other celebrities, Lopez also has a reputation for being incredibly rude to service people. One United Airlines employee told the press how much of a diva she was during her flight. Apparently, he asked if she wanted a drink, and she replied, quote, I just said, what can I get you to drink? But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Even though the stewardess was trying to serve her what she wanted, she refused to look, and made her assistant speak for her. It's so ridiculous and an unnecessary power play. But this interaction is nothing compared to the maid that was fired for asking J-Lo for an autograph. The maid later spoke with media and said she asked J-Lo's 2 assistants, who rejected the autograph. Then a day later, the hotel said that Lopez complained about the incident, and that maid was fired. Dakota Johnson has been doing pretty well for herself in Hollywood since the start of her career. I mean, of course she's been in a few scandals and has had some drama in her life once or twice, but for the most part she's doing pretty well for herself. On the other hand though, through her encounters and relationships with other people in Hollywood, a lot has been revealed about the actress, so let's talk about that today as we count down the celebrities who tried to warn us about Dakota Johnson. In at number 5, Ellen. In late 2019, actress Dakota Johnson sat down for an interview with Ellen, and some people see this interview as the one that kicked off the whole Ellen is mean scandal because of how rude Ellen was. During the interview, Ellen berated Dakota about the fact that she wasn't invited to Dakota's birthday party. People saw this whole debacle as incredibly unnecessary, but the part that people loved the most was how Dakota shut Ellen down. When Ellen said that she was mad for not having been invited to Dakota's birthday party, Dakota in response said, quote, actually no, that's not the truth, Ellen, you were invited. Thank Then continued, "Last time I was on the show last year, you gave me a bunch of crap about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited." Dakota was even backed up by one of the show's producers who reassured Ellen that she was invited and that she just didn't show up because at the time she claimed that Dakota's Malibu party was quote a little too far for her. Dakota shutting Ellen down and not being made to look like the bad guy like Ellen intended was great for fans, and following Ellen's cancellation, fans started to realize just how rude that Ellen was. I think in a way Ellen's actions warned us about Dakota Johnson because it showed us just how little BS Dakota is willing to put up with. It was almost like a warning for people to not rub the actress the wrong way because she can and will clap back without hesitation. And at number 4, Melanie Griffith. Most of the time when we're growing up, our parents know best. I mean, obviously we're not going to admit that while we're still under their roofs, but later in life you realize that they often had a point. When it comes to Dakota Johnson's parents, I think they knew about what Dakota's future was going to look like, and so they tried to steer her in a different direction away from Hollywood. In a recent interview, Dakota revealed that while she was growing up, her parents discouraged her from being an actor. Dakota said from a young age she'd always dreamed of being an actor, but because her parents were already in the film industry, they wanted her to stay away from it so that she could have a normal childhood. The fact that Dakota's parents tried to stop her from becoming a performer could have been a warning to her future fans that big things were coming if she went through with it. As I said before, parents often know best when it comes to their kids, and so in this case, they probably knew that Dakota was going to be super successful and that her life was going to change, so maybe they wanted to have her live a normal life for as long as possible. This could also have served as a warning to fans about Dakota's determination. In an interview, Dakota revealed that her parents made a deal with her and her siblings, saying they would continue to be supported financially if they did not enter the film industry. But even with that rule in place, Dakota decided to pursue her dreams, even if that meant she would not get financial help from her parents. Before we get into the next celebrity who've revealed hidden secrets about Dakota Johnson, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're there, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this. And at number 3, Cara Delevingne. One of the things that fans are often curious to know about their favorite celebrities is their sexuality. This isn't necessarily something that every celebrity talks about, including Dakota Johnson. The most Dakota has spoken out in regards to her sexuality came from an interview in 2020 where she suggested she was exploring other avenues that she hadn't before, even saying that she might be bisexual. This new revelation was a shock to some fans, but not to others who were paying close attention to her dating life around 2016. Because back in 2016, Dakota was spending a lot of time with Cara Delevingne, so much that it was rumored that they could even be dating. But at this point, Dakota had never said anything about her sexuality other than being straight. A fan even tweeted in 2020, quote, "I think it's time to remind everyone that Dakota Johnson and Cara Delevingne were possibly dating back in 2016, sharing tons of photos of themselves looking pretty coupley back at that time." Fast forward to 2020, Dakota did an interview before she started dating Chris Martin, where she said, quote, "I've been in a phase of my life where I'm fascinated by young women coming to terms with their sexuality. I guess by proxy, I've been experiencing that in my own life, and it's very interesting to me." In a follow-up, Johnson said she was taking that time to explore her bisexuality, but she also joked she might just be giving herself to the Lord after a trio of explicit 50 Shades movies coming out. Fans took this as Dakota hinting that she might have been bi during her time with Cara. And at number 2, Mathew Hitt. From 2014 to 2016, Dakota was dating musician Mathew Hitt on and off. This was during the time she was filming for 50 Shades of Grey, obviously very busy with work. Mathew Hitt is the lead singer of the indie rock band Drowners. They broke up around 2015 for a small time, but eventually got back together later that year. A source said about their relationship, quote, "Dakota and Mathew have dated on and off for the past 2 years. They didn't get a chance to see much of each other recently because their work schedules didn't align. She's been up in Vancouver shooting the 50 Shades trilogy." A source revealed that back when they first split in 2015, Hitt was not comfortable with Johnson's life because of her role in 50 Shades of Grey. Quote, "Her life was getting too crazy and it wasn't something that he wanted to be a part of." Hitt was disappointed when she chose her career over him. And finally, number 1, Nikki DeJagger. One of the instances that fueled the Ellen DeGeneres is Over party was a testimony of sorts from YouTube beauty guru Nikki DeJagger, or Nikki Tutorials, where she talked about how she was treated when she was invited on the Ellen show, saying that it wasn't at all what she was expecting. Nikki spoke about the atmosphere at the Ellen show, saying that, quote, "The friendly, welcoming atmosphere you see when watching Ellen isn't the reality in the studio." Nikki said that she was expecting a warm welcome when arriving at the studio, but that she was instead, quote, "greeted by an angry intern, was a bit overworked," saying that she was expecting something more fun and lighthearted, but instead received Teletubbies After Dark. Nikki also told sources that she didn't receive the same VIP treatment as everyone else, saying that she couldn't even use the bathroom that was closest to her because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers, who were also on the show that day. She also remarked that Ellen Ellen was very cold and distant when the cameras were off, making for a very different vibe on the show. When Nikki spoke out against Ellen for experiences on the show, it was almost like she was backing up that initial idea that Ellen isn't as nice as she pretends to be. This was also sort of warning that Dakota was right about Ellen, and what people initially thought about the talk show host when Dakota and Ellen got to that scandal was all true. Dakota initiated the idea that Ellen is a nightmare, but Nikki made it blow up even more. People didn't want to believe Dakota in the first place, but after hearing about Nikki's experience, they realized that Dakota was right all along.
Vanessa Hudgens was once Disney's golden girl after she brought the company so much success following the success of the High School Musical franchise. But back in 2020, Vanessa got into a pretty big scandal that pretty much destroyed her image and had a lot of people turn against her. Some were shocked to see this side of her, but maybe we had already been warned about this dark side to the actress in the past. Today, let's talk about it as we discuss the celebrities who tried to warn us about Vanessa Hudgens. At number 5, the Jonas Brothers. As we are all aware, Disney likes to keep their stars as clean as possible, so when they're caught being a little more adult and risque, that is definitely a problem for the company. This became Vanessa Hudgens' reality in 2007 after some of her private photos were leaked. Vanessa opened up about this scandal years later, saying that it was traumatic for her, having lost her privacy in that moment. It was also a big deal for Disney, who was trying to cover the story up and keep her image intact. Since she was one of the faces of the High School Musical franchise, it was important to the company to make this all go away. Joe Jonas even opened up about this time in Vanessa's life, saying that while he and his brothers were working for Disney at the time, he remembers the day the scandal broke and how the executives had Vanessa in their office for the whole day trying to deal with that mess. Joe even said that the other executives approached him and his brothers and praised them for not having had a scandal like this. This put a lot of pressure on the Jonas Brothers to always stay perfect in the eyes of the company. In a way, the Jonas Brothers warned us about Vanessa and her image. On one hand, the Joe Bros kind of exposed the lengths that people would go to give Vanessa the special treatment she required to get her out of this mess, and this special treatment could have impacted her ego, making her into who she is now. At number 4, Chrissy Teigen. In early 2020, when the world started ending, a lot of celebrities were voicing their thoughts and opinions on the global health crisis, and many of them faced backlash. From Madonna and her bathtub rant to Evangeline Lilly and her dismissal of the lockdown protocols, celebrities started facing backlash for their comments and actions, but the one celebrity who faced the most backlash in regards to their pandemic comments was actress Vanessa Hudgens. You might recall her comments about people passing away due to and the backlash that ensued afterwards, but you might not recall who came to support her when she was being cancelled. Chrissy Teigen stepped up to defend the actress when she was getting torn to shreds online and in the news. In response to Vanessa being cancelled, Chrissy tweeted in her defense saying, quote, "Sometimes people, especially famous people, are gonna say some really stupid ish, and so are you, and they and you will learn from it, and hopefully their history says they're good. It's okay, and at the same time, wow, they had a really dumb moment. But you don't have to ruin their lives. This isn't about me this time, but it will be one day or it'll be you. But yeah, today it's Vanessa. LOL, and no, life isn't ruined for everyone. But you are damn well trying your best. Just stop." Unquote. Chrissy also ended up facing some backlash for those comments because she was seen as defending the remarks that Vanessa made. This could have been a warning about Vanessa, but as we would later come to find out, Chrissy is a little problematic herself, so one problematic person supporting another could spell disaster. Before we carry on talking about Vanessa Hudgens and the people who warned us about her true colors, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 3, Austin Butler. When you love someone, you want to show it, and what's a better way of showing it than defacing a natural United States property? I'm kidding, but Vanessa Hudgens was not. While on a romantic getaway with then-boyfriend Austin Butler, the two etched their names surrounded by a heart into a rock in Sedona, Arizona, and Vanessa posted a picture of it to her Instagram. Come to find out a little while later that what they did was totally illegal, and they ratted on themselves with that post. Since being made aware of her illegal activity, she removed the post and was ordered to pay a $1,000 fine for damages, but the outcome could have been so much worse. The maximum fine for this offense is $5,000 and a 6-month jail sentence. In a way, Austin and Vanessa's actions could have been a warning about the actress's sense of entitlement. She didn't see anything wrong with defacing the rocks in Arizona and didn't really care about the consequences, and that sort of speaks volumes about the type of person someone is. If you don't care about how your actions affect others, then that can kind of make you a bad person. At number 2, Zac Efron. When you think about Vanessa Hudgens, most people would picture her in High School Musical carrying around that Disney vibe, but after learning about her dark side, you might change your thoughts about her. Basically, Vanessa has been known to often let her jealousy get the best of her, and oftentimes this leads to people getting their feelings feelings hurt. Take for example this one time when a fan approached Vanessa's ex, Zac Efron. The couple were out shopping at a department store when a young fan went up to Zac to tell him how much she loved him. She was apparently super nervous and stumbling over her words, and so instead of being an understanding and respectful person, Vanessa butt in and started making fun of the young fan. She started laughing at the poor girl and humiliated her in front of her celebrity crush. Now, even though Zac didn't exactly do anything in this specific situation, he did bring out a side of Vanessa because she was showing a jealous side when someone other than her was getting Zac's attention. This could have been a warning about how she is in a relationship, seeming to be quite emotional and attached, but also serving as a warning of the type of person she is when she's not on set, showing that she's not afraid to be rude, even to the people who support her the most. And finally, at number 1, Selena Gomez. Back in 2012, Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez seemed to have gotten into a feud over a Vanity Fair cover. See, at the time, they were promoting their film Spring Breakers, and so there was a lot of attention on them, but it seemed like Vanessa wanted that attention more than anything because she got really upset when she found out that Selena was getting the Vanity Fair cover and not her. She played it off like Selena was only getting the spotlight because of her relationship with Justin Bieber at the time. A source close to Vanessa told sources, quote, "Vanessa won't let it go. She feels absolutely furious, especially since she has a much bigger role in Spring Breakers than Selena does," end quote. This side of Vanessa certainly wasn't flattering because she was giving off such diva energy. In a way, her feuds with Selena was a warning about how seriously Vanessa takes her time in the spotlight and just how she isn't willing to share that fame.
First up, Jay Moore. Jay Moore threw some serious shade Jennifer Aniston's way when he accused her of being mad that she had to play his love interest in a movie. Basically, she felt the casting could have gotten a more attractive person to act alongside her. It started in 2010 when Elle asked him what his most awkward interaction with a female celebrity was. He responded, not giving names, but describing a situation when an actress got very angry after learning that Moore was playing her love interest in a movie. Apparently, after she learned the news, she said, quote, "You've got to be kidding me," right to his face. That interaction led Moore to, quote, "go to my mom's house and cry." He was specifically asked if the woman he was talking about was Jennifer Aniston because she was his love interest in the 1997 film Picture Perfect. Moore said, quote, "I will never ever answer that." But shortly after, he did answer who he was talking about. While on his More Stories podcast, he confirmed it was Aniston after all. He claimed she went up to him, pointed at him, and yelled, quote, "6 guys they screen test. 6. The one effing guy I hate, this is the guy they hired. Him." Apparently, this kind of berating went on for an entire day, and she kept trash talking him to other people, including their mutual co-stars. In summary, he said that she was so mean to him, and it clearly left a huge impact. So much so that he will not stop bringing it up. In 2016, during a Sports Illustrated interview, he was asked what was more satisfying, kissing Jen Aniston or firing Tom Cruise's character in Jerry Maguire. Moore answered, quote, "Without question, firing Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is hotter." Probably not the answer that most people were expecting. John Mayer. Most of Jennifer Aniston's ex-boyfriends have nothing but good things to say about her. However, John Mayer took some not-so-subtle digs during an interview after their split. Mayer's 2010 interview with Playboy is pretty infamous in the celebrity world for being one of the shadiest ever, and revealing things he probably should have kept secret. Things including some shady digs toward Jen. In the interview, he accused Jen of being someone who is not good with technology, and even refuses to learn new ways to do things, saying, quote, "If Jennifer Aniston knows how to use BitTorrent, I'll eat my effing shoe." While Mayer was getting into Twitter and other social media platforms, he claimed that Aniston was keeping herself away from technological advances. He added, quote, "The brunt of her success came before TMZ and Twitter. I think she's still hoping it goes back to 1998. He even brought up their age difference. Aniston was older by 8 years, saying, quote, "I can't change the fact that I need to be 32. Joan Rivers. The late comedian was not known to keep her opinions to herself, and she didn't hold back about her negative feelings toward Jennifer Aniston. In a 2011 interview, Rivers said about Aniston, quote, "I would like to take Jennifer Aniston and put her hair over her effing face. I'm so bored with her and her stupid movies. They're all the same. I don't know how they get financed." Then when she was asked who she doesn't want to see on their Oscars red carpet, Rivers replied, "Jennifer Aniston. Quote, I don't want to see Jennifer Aniston say, boo-hoo-hoo, Brad Pitt left me, get the F over it." In her book Joan Rivers Confidential, Rivers made another savage comment about Jen. Quote, "Even if Jennifer does become pregnant, Angelina Jolie will get the baby." Kristen Stewart. It's not clear if this is just a rumor or not, but Gossip Magazine, The National Enquirer, Enquirer claimed they had good reason to believe that Kristen Stewart does not like Jennifer Aniston. Back in 2013, Kristen Stewart was allegedly annoyed that Aniston was getting a lot more press than her. The source who shared this claimed it was clear that Kristen was jealous of Jen. At the time, Stewart was struggling with confidence issues and could not understand why Aniston managed to, quote, hog the headlines every time with little effort. Stewart apparently also added that Aniston's feud with Angelina Jolie gave her a huge bump in the press and nobody would have cared about her otherwise. The source added that Kristen Stewart said, quote, if it wasn't for her bitter rivalry with Angelina, Jen would not be this famous these days at all. Again, take this one with a grain of salt, but I'm sure Stewart is not the only person with these feelings. Tim Gunn. Tim Gunn is another person who does not hold back their feelings, and that was no exception in the case of Jennifer Aniston. After her 2008 split from John Mayer, Gunn felt she was completely desperate and would continue with her trope of playing the victim. At a launch party event, he said about Aniston, quote, sometimes I think she has a desperate character written on her, adding the clothes we wear send a message. I think that's the message. I don't think it's her intention though. Clearly Gunn thinks her perpetual victim card is all an act and she's really just desperate for attention. Bill O'Reilly. Aniston and Bill O'Reilly got into a strange feud after Aniston made some comments about children while promoting her 2010 movie The Switch. For a summary on the movie, Aniston's character wants to have a child, and because she is single, she decides to get a sperm donor and has a child with that donor's help, clearly showing a new take on motherhood in the modern era. While promoting the film, she said that, quote, times have changed when it comes to the way that people think about family. Aniston added that single motherhood is quite beautiful because there are children that don't have homes that have a home and can be loved, and that's extremely important. She obviously wasn't intending to start a controversy with these comments, but she did anyways when Fox News host Bill O'Reilly trashed her comments on the O'Reilly factor. He said that her comments told young women that their children don't need fathers, which would be destructive to our society. Aniston, who doesn't usually comment on this stuff, decided to clap back, saying, quote, I never actually thought my name and that name would ever be in one sentence. She added that she only responded to the ridiculous comments because they insulted the women that are out there doing this on their own. Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan shared his disdain for Jennifer Aniston after he felt that she was overly emotional during a Q&A segment. In 2016, she answered the question if she ever doubted herself by saying, quote, we're all human beings at the end of the day, while wiping tears from her eyes, voice quivering, adding, quote, don't punish yourself if you feel that. Fans love the genuine moment because it's a great feeling knowing that even celebrities have their fair share of bad times. But Piers did not take kindly to her vulnerability and felt it was completely fake. So the following week on Good Morning Britain, Morgan claimed that she was, quote, self-wallowing and needed to get a grip, adding, quote, nobody forced Aniston to do her naked magazine shoots, then reminding her that her problems don't really matter because half of the world is starving. Then later in 2016, he also took the time to respond to an article that Aniston wrote trashing the media, where she shared how she was fed up with body shaming and scrutiny that she received. Morgan responded that she should dismount that high horse. In 2017, Aniston responded to that by saying, quote, you're always going to have the Piers Morgans of the world contradicting something that comes from the heart and saying you're a hypocrite. The Friends cast. Even though the cast of Friends make it seem like they always got along perfectly, that was not always the case, and there was a point in time where the entire Friends cast hated Jen Aniston. When the show was really taking off, it was clear that fans and the media loved Jen's character the most, and she was getting the most press for everything including her signature haircut. Her female co-stars got very jealous of all the attention, and that translated into real-life feelings. Courtney Cox and Lisa Kudrow were described as, quote, very jealous of Jen. The source added, quote, everyone wanted to interview Jen, and her Rachel's hair became such a phenomenon that was the only thing people talked about. They were supposed to be a team, but all anyone cared about was Jen and her stupid hair. It got very annoying. And it was not only the women in the group that had a problem with Jen. The men also were not fond of her either. The source continued, quote, the boys gave her a hard time, claiming that Mathew Perry and Matt LeBlanc also made mean-spirited jokes at Jen's expense. They felt that she thought that she was better than they were. Thankfully for Aniston, the tension did not last long and the cast united together to negotiate salaries of $1 million per episode each. After they won the compensation battle, things simmered. Quote, they eventually realized the whole fame thing was out of their hands, and they grew up and grew closer as a cast. And now the cast remain good friends to this day. It was even alleged that Mathew Perry and Aniston had a fling back in the day. First up, Rita Ora. It's long been rumored that Rita Ora and Dua Lipa did not like each other, even though they have so much in common and even knew each other before they were famous. And after Bebe Rexha basically confirmed the feud, we have more details about why these women hate each other. Both women are immigrants of Kosovo, who grew up in the UK and even attended the same stage school and gymnastics club. It's also been reported that their families are even friendly. Their feud was made clear at the 2019 Met Gala, where both Dua and Rita were in attendance. A source close to Rita told The Sun that though Dua was looking up to Rita in the past, she has grown fed up of being compared to her. The source said, quote, "It's a shame, as they used to be very close, and Dua spoke a lot about how much she admired Rita. Dua even said she wanted to be just like Rita in the future. Now things have gone south dramatically and she's trying to distance herself, and she's making it no secret in the industry. Rita is desperate to avoid confrontation and went out of her way to make sure that they didn't come face to face." With the source revealing that Rita hates drama and did not want to have an awkward confrontation with Dua. However, she was not going to let a petty feud stop her from going to the Met Gala, of course. The feud between them started way before Dua Lipa was famous. Since they grew up knowing each other, Dua reached out to Rita's sister, Alina Ora, for help with her career when she was just starting out. Apparently, Alina refused to help, and Dua felt it was because her sister did not want Dua to become a bigger star than her sister Rita, which definitely did end up happening. This is not the only time they have butted heads. The feud continued when Rita Ora was replaced by Dua Lipa in an Adidas campaign. More recently, Rita tried to mend the relationship slightly, but Dua did not soften up. Rita posted to Instagram to support the Put Kosovo on the Map initiative to Apple, where she wrote in the caption, quote, "I would very much like to see Apple spread awareness by putting Kosovo on the map. Albania and Kosovo are full of great and beautiful talents, and I am very proud of my wonderful, strong, talented colleagues who represent our heritage. We share love, peace, and unity today with Bebe Rexha, Dua Lipa, Ava Max, and many others." Even though Dua was mentioned and tagged in this post, Dua did not comment any support for the initiative, even though every other artist mentioned in the post supported it in the comments and shared it to their own profile. So even though Rita Ora tried to mend the tension, it seems that Dua Lipa is not interested in being civil. Next up, Bebe Rexha. Bebe Rexha is in the middle of Rita Ora and Dua Lipa's feud, and she thinks the feud will most likely never end. She's always tried to keep the peace between the women, and she's even pushed hard for a collaboration with all of them, but it seems that Dua is standing in the way of this. While speaking to The Sun, she said about their dynamic, quote, "I have really tried. I don't know what's really going on there or what the drama is. I've tried to always be the peacekeeper and bring the girls together." However, shortly after this interview was published, Rexha walked back her words and claimed the entire interview was taken out of context, responding, quote, "It's absolute bull to put women against each other, especially those who I know are good people," saying that her words were not about their feud but more so about the competitive nature of the music industry, specifically the way women are pitted against each other. Adding, quote, "It's weird because I know how it is to be a girl and sometimes we can get really competitive. I'm not even talking about me, Dua, Rita, and Ava, I'm just talking about females in general. What happens is there's not enough women at the table." Bebe added that because she believes the music charts are so male dominated, it leaves women musicians with an unspoken competitiveness between them. These comments came after the 2019 Met Gala, where it was widely reported that Dua and Rita avoided each other. Next up, Taylor Swift. We all know that Taylor Swift and Kanye West despise each other and have been in a long and heated feud since Kanye stole the mic from her in 2009. So how is Dua Lipa involved? Fans originally thought that Dua was a Taylor fan when she was pictured wearing some of Taylor's merch while doing a sound check. Taylor also took this to mean that Dua was a fan, and Taylor commented on this post, writing, quote, "I am screeching with joy." However, the love affair did not last long between Dua and Taylor, because Dua later chose Kanye over Taylor when she was playing a game. The question was simply to choose Taylor or Kanye, and because Dua prefers Kanye's music, she chose him. Instantly, Taylor's fans were up in arms, and fans took it to mean that she chose Kanye in their long-running feud. So they started posting snake emojis all over Dua's feed and calling her a snake. Dua also revealed that she was DM'd threats against her life. Dua cleared it up on an episode of Watch What Happens Live, when she said, quote, "I wasn't thinking about their beef, I was thinking about their music, and Taylor is amazing, but I'm such a hip-hop fan that I probably would have chose Kanye over anyone." Next up, Calvin Harris. Calvin Harris may have exposed what a diva that Dua Lipa really is. At the time of the 2019 Brit Awards, Dua was in her prime and got tons of nominations for the show. But after the show, the Daily Mail reported that insiders claimed that she was a total diva at the award show. The Sun reported that Lipa was reportedly, quote, "furious after being given a dressing room close to other guests who were eager to talk to her. Apparently her dressing room was right beside the beauty spa, so tons of people were around this area before the show." However, the singer made it clear that she didn't want to be there after other guests kept heading in to say hi and wishing her good luck. Because everyone kept coming to talk to her, she reportedly slammed her door shut and took her name tag off her door so people would stop bothering her. What made her look really bad though was that Calvin Calvin Harris's dressing room was very close to hers, and he was openly welcoming people in and talking to everyone that wanted to see him. It was reported that Harris, quote, made his dressing room a free-for-all and was letting anyone in to help him celebrate with a magnum of champagne. However, Lipa didn't seem to care about the supposed situation, as Metro pointed out that following the ceremony, she was, quote, too busy getting down with her pals at the Brits after party. And finally, Dua Lipa herself. Dua Lipa got in some major hot water after it was exposed that she said the N-word in a song back in 2014. She sang a cover of a song and posted it online, and in the song the N-word was used, which she repeated. Lipa covered the song Smoke, Drink, Break Up by fellow singer Mila J back in 2014, and she can be heard saying the slur at a certain point in the song. After the clip resurfaced, Dua immediately took to Twitter to apologize for ever saying the word, writing, quote, in relation to my 2014 cover, I never meant to offend or upset anyone. I didn't say the full word, but I can admit I shouldn't have gone there at all, and that a different word could have been recorded altogether to avoid offense and confusion. I wasn't thinking it through at the time. Adding in another tweet, quote, I always stand up for social justice, and I am very sorry to anyone that I have offended. Most of her fans accepted this apology, but many did not, and a lot stopped supporting her after they heard her say the slur. First up, we have a celebrity stylist. A TikToker with the username IamTahira decided to speak about the celebrity styling she did for some celebrities, and rate which ones were the best and worst. In the video, Tahira gave Anna Kendrick a rating of -100 out of 10, and called her a terrible person. The comments flooded asking her to give more details about the interaction, so she decided to make 2 more videos. In the first video, she said that in 2016 she was working as a stylist, and her job was to put together some looks for one of Kendrick's book signings, saying, quote, she comes, I'm walking her through the rack, she won't speak to me, that's strike 1. I'm asking her, do you want to wear pants or do you want to wear a dress? She won't say anything. Then Kendrick's PR lady told her that if they wanted Anna to wear one of the looks, they would have to pay her $10,000. Since that was not a part of Tahira's job, she got the PR team to talk about it. In the end, Anna just ended up wearing her own clothes to the signing. But that's not all. Another part of her job was that she had to collect all the gifts that fans left her at the signing. So she collected fan mail, letters, gift cards, drawings, and paintings from Anna's fans. But at the end of the event, instead of taking all the products, Kendrick said that she never looks at that stuff, and she told her publicist to trash it all. Apparently, years later, Kendrick came back to the store and worked with a different stylist. After that stylist was done with Kendrick, she went up to Tahira and told her that Kendrick got pissed at her because this stylist had no idea who Kendrick was. Next up, Blake Lively. Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick starred in the hit movie A Simple Favor together. So not only did they spend tons of time working together, they also had to be on the press tour with one another. Apparently that was a big issue for the women because they hated each other while filming the movie, and it was so bad that the studio executives had to get involved and mediate the tension between the women. In a TikTok, the page Celebrity Memoir Book Club claimed that when filming wrapped on the movie, Lively and Kendrick were not speaking, adding, quote, they were basically enemies and their press tours had to be booked separately. The user said that they were not sure which actress was the one that started the feud because both women had been a part of feuds with their co-stars. Lively is previously feuded with Gossip Girl co-star Leighton Meester, while Kendrick is known for allegedly being disrespectful and rude to people ranging from waiters, bartenders, and fans. The TikToker was flooded with hate comments claiming that it wasn't true, even though the TikToker claimed that they had inside sources. As a clapback, the page shared a DM showing a studio executive at Lionsgate confirming basically everything the person had said. The DM read, quote, they hated each other. The studio even had to have a talk with them about making it look like they liked each other on press tours because it was starting to get obvious. Anna in particular was really competitive with Blake and was constantly asking to make sure she got more promotion than Blake, and even made us Photoshop her cleavage in the Simple Favor poster to be as big or bigger than Blake's. So from this comment, it seems that Anna Kendrick might have been the reason for the feud. After news of this feud resurfaced, some fans looked back at their media interviews for A Simple Favor, and you can clearly see the tension. In one interview, Anna Kendrick mentioned the fact that she worked with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, and she says that she once thought that Blake was really nice, but doesn't know now. It seems like a joke at first, but obviously could hint at the tension going on behind the scenes. Blake then jokingly goes to touch her arm, and Anna sharply responds, "Don't touch me," which seemed very real to me. Then the pair were talking about Instagram and if they block certain people, and it was revealed that at one point Anna Kendrick blocked Blake lively on Instagram. Then later she decided to mute her instead once that became an option. That whole interaction seemed a little too real to believe it was all playful banter. This is definitely a strange one, but Anna Kendrick was rated the #1 most dangerous person to search for online in 2020 by security company McAfee. I didn't even know that they made lists like this, but somehow Kendrick made the top of this list, even though she's known for quirky and girl next door type roles. This study is done every year to let customers know the best way they can protect their data online. They research which famous names generate the riskiest search results that could potentially trigger consumers to unknowingly install malware on their devices. She was #4 in 2019, but was bumped up to #1 in 2020. The study assumed that was because of her role in Trolls World Tour. Kendrick first gained fame in 2008 through Twilight, then landed the lead role of Becca in Pitch Perfect, and another in Up in the Air. Even though her roles are pretty tame, the security agency concluded that searching her name generated the most harmful links. Following Kendrick, the next most dangerous names are Sean Combs or P. Diddy, Blake Lively, and Mariah Carey. One executive at the company said, quote, "Cybercriminals use consumers' fascination with celebrity culture to drive unsuspecting fans to malicious websites that install malware on their devices, potentially putting personal information and login details in the wrong hands," adding that customers need to think twice before clicking. Barack Obama. Anna Kendrick found herself in a very strange situation when she ended up insulting the president and even called him an a-hole right to his face. Let me explain. Anna was on Stephen Colbert and explained the story behind how she met Barack Obama and made him double over with laughter during their meeting. During the conversation, Anna says that she was invited to a presidential event and showed up very early. Then during Obama's speech, he pointed her out personally and praised her for her movie Up in the Air. Afterward, when the two had a minute to chat, the president said he hoped that she hadn't felt singled out by him mentioning her movie. Quote, "I hope I didn't embarrass you earlier." Kendrick then responded, quote, "Yeah, you're such an a-hole." Then she mentioned that she was the first to arrive and that she was very punctual being from Maine. When Obama asked her if that was a thing, she replied, quote, "You don't know that? You're the president." That entire interaction then made the president double over with laughter, but who knows if he felt that it was very awkward. One of Anna Kendrick's breakout roles was a side character in the movie Twilight, and a very shady incident happened that the rumor mill has blamed on Kendrick. Before the second Twilight movie came out, called New Moon, a salon owner found a script to the upcoming movie in the trash outside her salon. The first question that was asked was, who would have thrown out a script as precious and as top secret as this? And does this mean that the person didn't like the movie? After further investigation, it was exposed that the script was found outside of a hotel near St. Louis where George Clooney and a bunch of other stars filming the movie Up in the Air were staying. Guess who is filming that movie and also filmed Twilight? None other than Anna Kendrick. Nobody is sure why she did it, but everyone can agree it was not a good look. But that was not all. Anna got in some more hot water when she trashed the filming of the movie. While speaking with Vanity Fair, she reflected on what it was like filming the movie, saying, quote, "The first movie we filmed in Portland, Oregon, and I just remember being so cold and miserable. And I just remember my Converse being completely soaked through and feeling like, you know, this is a really great group of people and I'm sure we would have been friends at a different time, but I want to kill everyone." She even got shadier when she later added, quote, "Although it was also kind of bonding, there was something about it that was like, you know, you go through like some trauma event. Like you imagine people who survived a hot situation and you're kind of bonded for life."